We were speaking, weren't we, last week when the news of Shamima's position sort of emerged, and I know you've been in contact by a solicitor with the family. Were you surprised that this action was taken by the Home Secretary?
I was, because we've had about 400 fighters or 400 individuals come back. They have been allowed to come into the country. I'm not entirely sure what the legal basis is, because Shamima is British. She does not have dual citizenship. If her citizenship is taken away, she potentially is stateless.
I presume, though, he's had some kind of legal advice on that and believes that because her parents are from Bangladesh, that there could be an application for citizenship from there for her.
Well, there's no guarantee that Bangladesh will say yes. And essentially, she was groomed and radicalised on our watch. The police were aware that this was happening. Tower Hamlets Council were aware it was happening. The school, as it was, Bethnal Green Academy, were aware it was happening.
That she was being radicalised?
She was being radicalised. They never spoke to the parents. They never told the parents. And I think we need to understand that. This was a 15-year-old child. You know, I've got two daughters. I just think about all the things that they have done as 15-year-olds. You know, and people make silly mistakes. You know?
Well, these allegations against the authorities are yet to be proven, and we have to hear from them and their side of the story. But just to come back to your opening comment there, you say that about 400 fighters have come back into this country, and we don't know really what's happened to them. They've sort of been re-assimilated. So are you basically saying that she's being picked on because she's emerged into the spotlight? Because initially, in an interview with The Times, a reporter tracked her down. She's one of many women in the position that she's in, many, but she was the one who kind of made the headlines, and then the TV got out there and found her. And are you saying that she's being picked on simply because of that, because she's been in the limelight, the glare of publicity?
Well, this is one story that's not Brexit off the front pages for a little while. I don't think the government's been prepared for these individuals that are coming back. Some of them are family members, some of them have been fighting. I'm not saying that we don't have security measures in place to deal with her, you know, so she may well be arrested, she may be charged, but we really need to understand what happened when she was a 15-year-old child.
Do you think she's being picked on?
No, I don't. I think, thank goodness, she revoked.
Well, thank goodness she's been stripped of her citizenship.
She stripped it of herself when she decided to join ISIS. The Islamic State is a brutal and terrible organisation. It has destroyed Syria and Iraq. Entire communities have been uplifted. And she went out there knowing what ISIS was. We don't know what she's got up to while she was there. She may have gone through a huge amount of military training, certainly ideological training, and she's shown absolutely no remorse. In
your experience as a fighter out there, fighting against ISIS, were you fighting against women? Were women armed? And were they in a shooting war?
They were in the sense that they were often used as snipers, particularly towards the end, as
snipers.
ISIS became snipers.
Yep.
They were also used as suicide bombers as well, including children. This is the mentality of the organisation. It is absolutely barbaric. And it was, for them, it was total war. They wanted to completely annihilate not just the Kurds that I was with, but the Christians and the Yazidis. They've done terrible damage to the Yazidi community, which is an ancient civilization out there, which has its own religion. It's a 1,000-year history, and it's been utterly ripped apart by still 3,000 young girls missing, and after they got sold into slavery.
So Dal Babu makes the point that she is British. She has UK citizenship at the moment. It was on our watch that she was radicalised. The police have said that they feel there were failings. They gave the letter when they wanted to highlight concern to the girls themselves, not to the families. I think it was found in their bag after they'd gone.
In their school bag. Yeah.
In their school bag, so never got to them. We don't know yet what the school and the college, they haven't commented on some of your allegations, so we don't know about that. But the police have said mistakes were made. What about the fact that we have a responsibility? If we allowed it to happen, we now need to be part of the process to unravel it.
Sure. This is not the end of the story. What I would like to see is her to go back to Bangladesh and basically face a prison cell there.
She's never been to Bangladesh.
Well, she's a Bangladeshi citizen.
No, she's not.
She's not. Her parents are from Bangladesh.
She will be some people joining us. Her mother is Bangladeshi.
Yes. And father.
And father. And therefore, that would give her the right to apply for a citizenship. But there's no report that she is actually a citizen of Bangladesh.
And can I just say, Richard, there's no guarantee that Bangladesh would accept her.
Oh, absolutely
she hasn't
not.
Well, the British government's been advised on this, and they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't render her stateless if they thought that was going to be the case.
Well, the government is frequently taken to court, and is frequently decisions are overturned. The point I'd like to make, it was, I hear what you say about the local authority responding and the school responding, but I worked with the families while this was happening. And I took a statement from the family. The family were totally unaware that she was being groomed, and the authorities knew that was happening.
She wasn't groomed in the sense, because I hear a lot of people at the moment saying that she was targeted, that predators found her. Quite the opposite is the case.
That's exactly
she sought the Islamic State out.
No.
She sought it out. She agreed with what
That's not true.
It is true. That's exactly how they recruited.
No,
what about the broader point that our politicians are there to effectively execute the public's will? And there's no question at all that the overwhelming view of the British public is that this girl should not come near British shores again. They just don't care about her. They feel very angry about her in the vast majority. And therefore, the Home Secretary is simply doing what the electorate wants him to do. He's reflecting the way that this country thinks.
She's not a victim. She's not a victim at all.
No, I think that's totally wrong. She was a 15-year-old child. The initial girl that went from that school targeted her friends and then encouraged them to come out.
Is there an argument for the fact that could have an impact on other youngsters that might potentially be radicalised? It might deter them from doing so because they realise they would lose their home.
Well, that's a valuable point. But the reality is, if you are being targeted by ISIS, if you are being targeted via the internet, this was a direct link between...
ISIS did not find her, let's be clear about that.
They did. You find a direct link between ISIS and the child. You miss out the logic of what you're saying. You miss out the parent talking. You have, in the same way that children have been sexually abused...
She clearly assumed she could just come home, though. She clearly assumed she did.
I don't think she ever
Maybe other youngsters won't, is the argument, isn't it?
I don't think. If you look at how these individuals were radicalised, they had no intention of coming home. I think what's now happened is that there's a reality check. ISIS is an awful, evil organisation.
Yes. And that's the only reason she's coming back, because ISIS has been destroyed. The problem with your point, that if this goes through, she may well end up being stateless, because Bangladesh may not want to take her. I mean, actually, why should we shove her onto Bangladesh? They may well say no. She will become stateless. But a lot of people watching this will go, I don't care. She, as you say, she made herself stateless when she took a decision which she herself says she knew what she was doing. Yes, she may have been 15, and quite soon after that she was 16.
But, Richard, she's been interviewed... Yes. Remember, this is a young woman who's has been bereaved, but she's lost 2 children.
She says.
This is a young woman... Well, I think that... I accept that that's what's happened. Right. This is a young woman who turned up, 15-year-old girl turned up, 15-year-old child, within days was married to a man almost twice her age. This is sexual abuse, sexual exploitation. I mean, this is not a adult making decisions. This is a child who was exploited over the internet, and what we need to be doing is
whether or not you agree with that depiction of her, the argument is that if she doesn't come back, she's out there potentially to be further radicalised and do more harm.
Well, she's under the protection of the SDF. I don't like the narrative that she's a victim. The real victims are the Yazidi girls that were sold into sexual slavery. This lady went out to Syria. She tore up her passport. Being British is a privilege. She left our country, which is safe, where she had a good education and a future. She chose to align herself with the Islamic State. And as far as I'm concerned, this is not the end. There are many more Islamic State fighters waiting to come back. So as long as she goes back to, or goes to Bangladesh and faces a prison cell, I want to see other new legislation brought in that will put in jail every single person that joined the Islamic State.
What, on charges of treason?
Absolutely. Or joining a terrorist organisation, or we need to widen the definition of support of terrorism. But either way, we have to define down and get the legislation in now.
It's fascinating to talk to both of you because it creates so many emotions in so many people, because it touches really raw fear, doesn't it, that we might have at the moment in our country. And I'm sure we're going to talk about it again, but we'll leave it there for now. Thanks very much indeed. The Home Office has given us a statement. They say the Home Secretary's priority is the safety and security of Britain and the people who live here. It says that in order to protect this country, Sajid Javid has the power to deprive someone of their British citizenship where it would not render them stateless. I know you debate those points, but any such decision is based on all available evidence and not taken lightly. And we know the family are appealing, so I suspect we'll be back to look at this again.